Hello YouTube, I am back again, and today I wanted to talk to you about debt freedom and also splitting finances as a married couple. I know both of these are controversial topics because, for one, there's a movement that, oh, if you're married, you should not be splitting finances. Everything should be one and in one pot, and that's the only way you're working as a team. I personally do not feel that is the case. I feel like it is possible for you to still be a team, but have some sort of individuality with finances. It can also be a lifesaver in some circumstances. If I were to fumble and have to take a loss, whether it be with credit or some sort of financial obligation, then I have my spouse that I'm with that can back me up and can carry the load. We've had to do that in our marriage, and it worked. So it worked for us, so we proceeded on. So we have been doing that ever since, and we are 16 years in, so is what I'm saying. Secondly, even debt freedom is a controversial subject for some. There are some that feel like, oh, you're debt free once you've paid off everything besides your mortgage. And I could see the argument for that, because sometimes your home is worth more than what you owe on it, and so you technically don't owe anything. Then there's some that are like, no, a mortgage is debt, point blank, period. And so if you have a mortgage, you are still in debt. And then you have some people that are like, oh, if you have the assets that, like, say you have either your savings or investment accounts or whatever, if you have the ability to write the check today to clear your debt, then you are not in debt technically. I happen to take the approach that until a debt is paid in full, and that includes my mortgage, that I am still in debt. That's how I see it, because it's just, that's just how I see it. But to each his own. Whatever road you want to go down and whatever thought process you have behind it is uniquely yours, because I feel like, especially with finances, they should be tailor-made for what you need, what you want, how you view and vision things. Although you can gather information and receive information from outside sources that may work for you, at the end of the day, the final decision and the road that you go down is going to be uniquely yours, and that is that on that for me. And as far as like splitting finances, my marriage is we've always taken that approach in our marriage. I don't think it's as extreme as some people make it out to be, meaning we don't like take our bills and split them in half and then say you contribute this much and you contribute that much. Like, it's not that rigid, really. It's really not. We've taken the approach of putting the exact same amount into our joint account, and that account covers bills, that account covers any tax liabilities, that account covers trips that we go on together. We do also have an emergency fund attached to that account that has our 6 months worth of expenses inside of it, to cover us should one of us lose our job. And the remainder, whatever is left over, regardless of who makes more, is dispersed to our individual accounts. It really isn't, I don't know, it's not a big deal, and it's not like it's not rigid. When I say it's not rigid to the point of, oh, my job is mostly more home based, although I do have meetings and etc. outside of home. But my main time is more home based. So I don't drive nearly as much as my husband has to drive to go to work. Obviously, he spends more in gas. I consider gas a home expense because it is something that he has to have to get back and forth to work to bring money home to pay bills. So I don't nitpick like, oh, I only use $5 worth of gas and you use 200 and some dollars worth of gas this month. Like it's not that micromanaged. It's really not. But it's just whatever money is in that account is used to grow our personal emergency fund savings, pay bills, pay taxes, etc. And the amount that goes to our individual accounts would cover, we pay our own car notes from our individual accounts. I do not pay a car note from our joint account. He does not pay his car note through his through the joint account. He pays it through his personal account. When I have a car note, I pay it through my personal account. Why, you may ask? Because I want the ability to get what I want. I'm also not on his car note. I'm not on his car loan. He has not been on my car loan. We get the car that we want to get after discussing the price range that we are good in. Basically, for my husband, he works full time, but he also has military retirement. Whatever he does, as long as it does not exceed that military retirement, we're good, because he still works full time, and that's not including his full time work. So he can get what he chooses to get based on his allotted funds for that particular thing. And me, mine is as long as it does not take up a certain percentage of my income when I get a car, then I stick within that budget, and because I don't have the two sources of income. So that's really how it works. And then he's free to go pick whatever he would like to drive that fits within his range. I pick whatever I would like to drive that fits within my range, and that's how we work it. Now, if he fell on some kind of unexpected, something popped up and he needed money from the joint account, am I going to be like, no, you are not allowed to? Of course not. That's ridiculous. He has access to the account. So it's not, I think that people make that into such a, like a nitpicky thing. Like, oh, they're trying to hide money, or really it's not the case. But what could happen is, say I lost my job and say I had a car note. We just didn't have it in the budget to pay that car anymore because I was not working, and my car got repossessed. My credit's going to take a plummet, but my husband's credit will be intact because that is not attached to his info. That's how we view it. That's really how we view it. Like right now, our home loan is in my name only. Now, we've been here for a very long time. So initially, that was because of necessity to get the best rate that we could to get the house. But now, it's just, I look at it as a blessing because the mortgage that we got was based on my income. Because, of course, when you get a mortgage, the mortgage is based on the person that's applying, and so that person's income is considered. So when we got our house, it was based on my income only, and that has allowed us to live a very, very relatively under our means lifestyle for a very long time, because either one of us could pay our mortgage solo. I could not work. He could pay our bills. He could not work. I could pay our bills. So it kind of, it takes that load off. I think that's something that we would probably continue in the future, because we live relatively modestly, home-wise. I don't require like a big fancy house. I don't even, the thought of having to clean that and take care of it actually turns me off. So I am good with a smaller home. It served us well. We will be buying a home in the near future once these rates and this housing crisis dwindles down some, like where I feel comfortable to do so. We do plan to buy another home. Haven't decided whether we're selling this one or renting this one. I don't even want to think about that right now because we haven't got to that yet. So this house will be on my version, my information regarding my debt-free journey, because it is on my credit report. It is a debt. The mortgage is a debt. Doesn't matter whether our equity exceeds what we owe. Doesn't matter that if we have the funds to pay the balance. Don't care. For right now, in this moment, it is debt. But I just wanted to give that kind of backstory, because a lot of people are going to see the mortgage on my, included in my, what I consider my debt, and say, well, why on earth is, that's a joint expense and your husband. So I wanted to explain why you will see it that way. I also wanted to point out that this is my debt-free journey. So this is the debt that it is on my end, not my husband's. This is not related to him. I did not want to put him in this. Tactics I used, because it's not going to be the conventional. It's not going to be conventional because number one, I'm older. And I had intended to use kind of like Dave Ramsey's plan, but then I realized that our whole lifestyle is against Dave Ramsey's plan, because we would not have separate finances or separate accounts at all. We wouldn't have all these things. We are completely X'd out of Dave Ramsey's plan, although I do watch his content and like his content. But that was my intention, was just to have a snowball and just keep snowballing. But then I realized that he requires you to, or his plan would require me to empty my savings down to 1,000. I have gone through a lot of experiences, one of which being unhoused, bouncing from relative to relative with my daughter. It was a traumatic experience. It was this was before I met my husband, by the way. I was younger, much younger. It was traumatic. It changed my mindset of money. It made my relationship with money bad. Even though I was no longer in that situation, and I dug myself out of that, it made my view on money and relationship with money poor, because I saw it as I gotta hold on. I gotta hold on, whatever, and I don't care. I don't care what it takes. If I have to eat 4 crackers and water to make it, I would be that. It was not healthy, and it took me a long time to get out of that. But I did, of course, get out of it. But that feeling also led me to make some really dumb decisions, which I hope to go over in this video. And I didn't want to take the Dave Ramsey approach because I mentally could not deal with the thought of my savings dwindling down that far. It would give me stress, and this is not supposed to be about stress. You know, be debt free. I just didn't want that kind of stress on myself. And so my tactic was, okay, what I'm going to do is I did have a initial snowball. I think it was about $1,000 that I could apply extra toward whatever debt I was attacking. And I also used found money. I consider found money bonuses. Because I do not count any bonuses I earn at work toward my salary or my bills. I don't count it until it's in my bank. So I don't include that in my day-to-day budgeting. Found money would be if I paid off a debt and freed up that money to use on the next debt, just like the premise of the snowball method. I consider that found money. Or just any extra money that, you know, say a bill was lower that month than I expected and I had that extra little wiggle room, then I would use that. So that is what I used. I did not want to decrease my 401k contributions. I am trying to make up for time. Like, I got to be on it. And so I did not want to do that. I have been on a road increasing my my contributions annually. And I'm not going to stop that. Was not going to stop that. Was not going to reduce that, which I think is another thing that Dave would have recommended. I'm not doing that. Because I saw that I could tackle these things without doing that. Maybe if I saw there was no way I could do it without doing that, I may have chosen to do that. But knowing I could do this without touching any of those things, I would rather proceed that way. It may take a little longer, but, you know. Before I go into this, I want you to know this is, like I said, this is my budget from my income for my debt. I just want to make that clear. I just wanted to make that clear. I've made and the time that I've made it in. And so hopefully this helps you. Here we go. So, in looking at 2020, I can tell you that this is going to require some explanation because it's not going to make sense to a normal mind. We all know what was going on January 2020. I was, for some reason, that whole situation sparked that fear in me. And I was doing things just out of character. But there were things that I needed to do. There were things I had the physical cash to do, meaning some of this, at least $20,000 of this debt that was paid in 2020, I literally already had in my savings account to pay for some of these things. But I was so fearful of letting that go that I was like, oh, I'll just take this loan out and I'll just take this out. And I don't know why. I don't know what my brain was thinking about it, but that's what I was doing. So I don't even think I had that personal loan or the credit card debt open. It wasn't even 6 months. The 5th month I had paid it all off because I realized that my brain was not, I wasn't looking at things correctly. That had to do with, there were some things we needed for the house, appliances, etc. And also we helped a family member, or I wanted to help a family member, discuss it with my husband. He was fine with it, and so I did that as well. And I don't even know why I did the 401k loan. I can't even remember why. It was just a dummy move. I don't know why I did that, and I can't even explain it. But I know a lot of this stuff though was fear because I had the cash. I was like, why am I doing that? Anyway, so that's why you will see the total debt paid is about $20K difference in what you're going to see in the subsequent years, because for some reason I was holding cash. I couldn't tell you why. But and also I basically cleared everything that year except the mortgage and student loan, and that's what I've been working with ever since. So but I was pushing that year. I was just, I don't know, I was very aggressive as well that year, trying to pay off debt, and I soon found out that it's not sustainable for me. So this is just a breakdown of the overall debt that I've paid from 2020 to current. You can see that each year I was roughly paying, with that exception of that 2020 year, I was paying around 20K down of these debts. But except for 2023, I wanted a break. I only paid about 13K in that year. I wanted to do some things for me. I didn't want to be as aggressive on this, so that's what happened. So as of today, I have paid down the house to a total of $85,920, and my student loan currently sits at $18,629.26. My goals for 2024, I would like to pay at least $8,000 or $9,000 down on my student loan, and at the end of this year in December, I hope to just be able to break that tie, cut the check, and be done with the remaining 10K on it. I don't know what that feeling is that holds me back from doing that, but I hope to do that. That is my goal, to be completely done with this thing at that time, and then to switch for 2025 to aggressively paying the house down and off, hopefully. That is my 2024 goal. Pretty simple goal, but you know, it's tough to do because you get caught up in day to day, and you just, oh, I don't have to pay this off. I could keep it going for a little while. You know, you start thinking those things. So hopefully I will be able to achieve that. Fingers crossed. That is my goal again, to be able to break the tie, cut the check by December 31st, 2024, to be done with my student loan. That's what I'm striving for this year, my biggest goal. So wish me luck.